Hey, what up everybody? It's Danny with Gardening for Gains, and we're continuing to unbox shit. I got a bunch of stuff from that we just did a video on Root Pouch, unboxed some of their new items, as well as some of their existing stuff that I'm going to be using in the garden this year. So our next box came from a supplier we don't currently work with, but so I'm not going to like say their name or anything, but if you can see it, I don't care. I'm not going to block it out. This is stuff that we already carry at A.M. Leonard. So first thing here is a Coir, 14-inch Coir weed control disc. So what Coir is actually coconut fiber. So as you can see here, bring it around town. So as you can see here, through the plastic, those are fibers. That's actually from a coconut husk, and what they do is grind it up. This is actually the fiber. So there's a couple different parts to the coconut. The fiber is used for stuff like this. It's also used for like soil media, and then you get into some of the other things that you can actually use it to hold some more moisture in your plants, which this is going to help a little bit, but there's actually like a fiber in there that's really like small, like a microfiber kind of. It's called pith. So it's just a little bit more, it's like a short fiber, whereas this is more of a long fiber. So this is a Coir weed control disc. We call them Coco discs or Coco weed guards. So this is a 14-inch, so this will actually fit just about perfect in my 10-gallon root pouches. And essentially what it is, since you may not know, but there's a hole here in the center. Your plant is going to be coming up through that. And then there's a slit along the side, so you can actually open it up, fit it around your plant, and then what it does is, number one, prevents weeds from popping up in your soil. So you're not going to be going around as much, having to pull weeds, having to dig through your containers and figure out which one's a radish and which one's a weed. Although you're not probably going to do it for radishes, but like as far as like tomatoes, perfect. As long as you're not planting anything else in the container, this would be a great thing. Most people are going to be using this like in a nursery setting, so it's going to be more of like a tree or a shrub, so essentially. So great for controlling the weeds. Then we're going to come to our the next thing is this is coconut husk chips. So this is a different part of the coconut. It's more of probably the shell that's actually ground up, and so actually you do have a mix of like the fibers and the shell. This is a little bit dirtier of a bag, so you're not gonna be able to see through it, but it's got some more. The particles are more like that big. Kind of mixed in size, but basically what you do with that is mix it into your soil, and it kind of acts like perlite, kind of brings in some of that air, allows for, builds those pockets within the soil. So that's where you're going to have some better like, air, water, nutrients, those sort of things are going to kind of sit in those pockets. So it's really good for breaking up, really tough soil. And actually I used it in one of my little raised beds out back. So we'll see how it works with everything else, but that kind of comes into the rest of the stuff. So like the husk chips, more than likely you're not going to be growing in just that unless you're doing like a hydroponic kind of setup. I'm sure it could work really well for that, actually, now that I think about it, because it is chunky. It doesn't have like a lot of like the pith, the fibers and stuff like that. As far as I remember, I'm sure there's probably some play in that. But that comes to this next one. So this is a coconut brick. So basically, if you can see here, and you can't through the plastic really, but this has got more of the fibers, but so this is like made up of like the fibers and the pith. So it's almost like it's more like a dirt, like a soil mix when you actually wet it. But this brick is going to expand at least 5 times its size. So let's see if we can get, Yeah, so it says that the expansion volume is 2.4 gallons. So that goes from this little thing to fill 2.4 gallons. I'm trying to like describe how that would be. So 2.4 gallons might, make it expand out to maybe even fill up like half of this box. So one brick, filling up half of this box. I mean, it's pretty crazy how they expand. It's actually what some people will do is take this. So here's our last item. Add that to the flip pile. But here's the last one. So this gives you a much better idea. So this one is, let's see, how much does this weigh? So this is a 10-pound block, and it expands, it says up to 20 gallons. I find that a little bit hard to believe. That's a little bit, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. But I mean, I don't know, this one is actually a lot thicker than the other ones that we carry currently. So it could expand up to that much, but I would say at a minimum, no, I would be pretty confident with 25 gallons because we actually have a 5-gallon brick, and what you can do is actually put it in the bottom of like a root pouch or, a pot or put it in a wheelbarrow. That's what a lot of people do because it is, so big and it expands so much. You're going to need so much water and all that. So what happens is this thing just soaks up the water and it just slowly builds and builds and builds. So if you put it in a 20-gallon pot like this, what I would do is put it in a root pouch. The water is going to be running through a root pouch, so maybe put like a tray underneath of it, and that way the water can sit and it can slowly soak it up through. But basically, I did it in a 7-gallon pot or maybe a 10-gallon pot with the one I had, and I just set it in a little thing of water, and this brick just grew straight up. And that brick was only half the size, and it grew up like 12 inches. So this one, in theory, should grow up and fill like probably up to here. At least as big as that box that I threw over there. So pretty impressive stuff. I've been super obsessed with coir, which is just another word for coconuts, byproduct. It's like, we'll just say cocoa. So I've been super obsessed with cocoa. As far as using it for a growing media, it's something, it helps save a lot of moisture, but you also have to be careful because nutrients don't get absorbed the same way in different mediums. So that's why it takes like a lot of research and things like that, because coconut actually will lock up your calcium and it will lock up your potassium. So what you need to do, what a lot of people will do is treat it with like a calcium nitrate. What that will do is kind of bind to some of those compounds that are in the soil that attract and lock that up. And then so by doing that, treating it first, buffering the media, then you actually are able to, your fertilizers are going to get uptaken. So that's essentially the name of the game. So you just have to be kind of more cognizant of the different effects of different media, and really just plan accordingly, because something like that could be super detrimental if you did that with tomatoes. Tomatoes need calcium is pretty much the lifeblood of the plant. You always hear about nitrogen because that increases the growth, but it's just green growth. So growth without like those micronutrients or without potassium and phosphorus, you're not going to get that full plant health. It's just nitrogen is just top growth. So you need the other things for the roots, but calcium, what it does is essentially helps transport all of these other nutrients into the plant. So it helps you with fruit development. It helps, for like a tomato, if you don't have calcium, you're actually going to get that black spot on the bottom of your tomatoes. So that's what, if you have that, that's called blossom end rot, and it's a tomato, it's a calcium deficiency. So that stuff is really dusty. So I'm gonna try to bust through the rest of this. But so that's kind of like, this shows you a really wide range of what those coconut products can do. So started off with weed control. We've got the husk chips to add to your media. And then This is just the blocks. And I would almost bet that all these blocks are pre-treated or pre-buffered or whatever. But so this is another thing used for soil media. Use this as a soil media or potting soil, however you want to call it. Then we get into a different use for the coconut. This one is actually taking the fiber. They've made it into a mat, and it's the perfect size to fit right inside of a tray. So let me see if we can get into this tray here. So I was going to kind of save, these are my current supplies that I was going to save for a different video, but I think this is pretty cool that we picked this up. The merchandiser that worked there before me, Brett, he actually added these to the line. So it's got five lids, 5 trays, and basically the idea behind this was actually for microgreen growers. Probably more for like a hobby grower, obviously, with that smaller packaging, but that's exactly what these are used for. So we've got this coconut grow mat. So now you can see so you can actually see like kind of how porous it is through here too. You can't, that's pretty neat. But it's just pretty basic, just coconut fiber and cut to the perfect width. So once you wet it down, obviously it'll sit in there a lot better. But yeah, these are perfect. Actually, I like these because it's a little bit bigger than the tray, so it actually kind of forms a little like bowl in there. Because that's a big problem I always see is like seeds will fall underneath of the tray or off to the side, and that like absolutely just grinds my gears. So it'll be cool to have these. From what I've seen, like coconut is weird. So it's like it works really well, but it also can stay really wet. So you have to be careful how much you water it. Like you think that you want to just soak this down, but so what you would do to start this off is you definitely want to pre-treat it, just get it wet, and then that's gonna clean off any dirt or anything that might be on there from the processing and manufacturing of it. And then you might even want to let it sit for a little bit if it's too wet, but you get it nice and moist, throw it in there, scatter your seeds in there, at a good distance that they'll all be able to germinate and live. But you'll be really surprised with how great they grow in the cocoa fibers. It's just there's a lot of water that can move through there, a lot of water that can sit in it, a lot of air that can move through. So it's a really good choice, especially for microgreens. So we've got them in the 10 by 20 sheets, and they also sent me a 4 by 4 cocoa grow mat. So I guess they think that you're just gonna cut your own down. So yeah, I just feel like that would be such a mess. I'm sure it's a little bit more cost effective. So that's it for our cocoa box opening. I actually left some other stuff. I had some other stuff back at the office that it was a big box and I just completely forgot it. But that had some like smaller, like basically the same thing as this, like the coconut fibers, but just in like small pellets, so you can actually put it in like a seedling tray. So they've got some that are just like pellets, and you put it in these seedling trays, do the same thing, let some water sit in there, it'll soak it up, and then it just grows up and it'll fill these up perfectly. So yeah, I can't wait to try that. I'll have to do another video to kind of display that, and I'll make sure that I link that up as soon as that's done as well. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this, just to show how we're going to be growing our microgreens. So that's probably my next step is to use all these, get it set up in the grow lab or the plant lab, like we were growing in last year. We put a lot of seedlings in there. So really that's my only worry, is just about like having enough space. So what I think the next couple of things I'm going to be doing is like building some grow racks. I also got some grow lights on the way. Just a lot of cool stuff that I'm actually it's stuff that I'm adding at A.M. Leonard. So You know, like some of these lower profile lights that are, you know, like 2 inches high, so that it'll fit like perfectly in a rack. And they're made for like vertical gardening or vertical growing, propagation rooms, you know, stuff like that. So like I'm slowly building block by block and trying to make, you know, build AM Leonard into more of a grower centric, as what in addition to, you know, supplying and supporting our landscaping customers so well. And I think that, you know, a lot of the older growers, they do know that we're around, but there's so much more that we can be doing, and that's with anything. But I'm just really excited to like be a part of it and like have my hands so deep in it, you know, while kind of teaching myself how to grow and you know, building my own business on the side as well too. So I'm super pumped. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or anything else you'd like me to see or answer, dive in deeper, drop a comment. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and as always, I appreciate it.